safety. Okay. Okay. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar podcast made easy. And the first things first, I'm grateful to Abhidya and Jaya and Akanksha for giving me this opportunity to share my experience with podcasting. I started my podcast 3 years back, May 2021, or almost 3 years back. And yeah, it's been amazing journey. The day I still remember I started my podcast, and means there's no looking back after that podcast. Means I cannot see life without podcast now. Uh, this is how I it started, and so let me share that two three things. If someone is having questions, so I'll be having a Q&A round at the end. And if you still feel curious, you can anyway put it on the chat box, or you can stop anywhere for answering if you are really curious about some of the questions. That is number one. Number two, if means is everyone is comfortable with Hindi if I use some of the words, and if not, then I'll continue with English only. If there are anyone who doesn't understand Hindi, you can put it on chat box, or just say it out loud, because there are non-Hindi people, I can say. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then okay, then third thing, and if you put your mobile on silent, that will be better, so that the flow and the way we started the playing with the love will continue the love game of love. And for me, means what is for me love? Love, for me, love is everything. Love is everything by which everyone runs, desires, and whatever we love. And today means 3 years from last 3 years. For me, love is my podcast. Yes, doing my podcast day in day out. That is my love. So, but how this started? Let me share a little small story. How my podcast started, and it's all credit goes to Abhidya and Jaya only, because when I did my level one ACC. So what happened? We were a very big batch of 14 people who are into L1 ACC. And on the first class, it was on Saturdays. And the class used to happen from 11 to 2, I think. Yeah. So what has happened? Day one, when the class started off level one ACC. So we were 14 people, and we started to check in on the class, and it took us 1 hour to check in for 14 people. So from next class, what Jaya did is Jaya asked us to on Saturday, after getting up, we have to put our check-ins on our WhatsApp group, on an audio note. Yes, whatever we are feeling, whatever we are look up to for that day of class, we used to do check-ins. Yes, by audio notes, picking up our mobile and audio notes, that yes, Rakesh, you are checking in, and today looking forward to level one, class two. And last week I did this thing, and next week I'm really curious about this topic, and like that. And whatever check-in we used to do on audio notes. And then I started to do audio notes. And what happened is that when I started my audio notes, I started to feel confident about my voice. And when I heard my own audio on WhatsApp audio notes, I started, यार इस बंदे की आवाज तो बहुत अच्छी है. Means the voice is very good. Means I I used to hear my story and started to like my voice. And that happened, and we had some 10-12 classes. And after that, March 21, I finished my level 1 course. And then it got hit me कि यार मीन्स लेवल वन कर लिया, बट कोच क्लाइंट नहीं है, देयर नथिंग, एंड व्हाट इज देयर मीन्स. But at the last class, Jaya told us that after level one, you have to make your brand, you have to make your LinkedIn, web page, website, and you have to. It is like once you did your engineering or MBBS, you don't get the job. You have to get the job after engineering. You have to try for the job also. So it was like that only. So I understood that I had to make a brand of myself after becoming L1 ACC course. So so I understood, and I joined a digital marketing course in April 21. And in that digital marketing course, they told us that you have to make YouTube, you have to make a podcast, and like that, two, three things they gave, or blog or anything. So by the background of audio notes of WhatsApp, last 3, 4 months, I started with podcast. And with me, there are 11 other people who started podcast. And we used to do podcast along with that group I used to do. And then after 3 episodes, most of them drop off. But I continued my journey of podcast. That is because I was having some background, that I was doing my audio notes on my level 1 WhatsApp group. So I continued the journey. I started like my voice, and I started to getting some of the feedbacks from people. Your voice is good, your content is good. They are getting some value about it. So that gave me more confidence, confidence after confidence. And then I started to get some of the messages on LinkedIn. So let me share. Hmm. So are you guys able to see? Yes. So I started my podcast in May 21, and this is July 2021. I got a message from someone in on LinkedIn, and this was the message. So it is saying, "Good morning. Listening your recent episode, giving me Tuesday motivation. Amazing work. Going to listen all episodes now. Great job." So even I was having that feeling that yes, I am a coach, I can motivate people, but these kind of small messages started to coming on my sometimes WhatsApp, Instagram, and LinkedIn, pushed me to continue this journey of podcasting, because after 2 3 months you started to get that feel that whether it will work, whether it will not work, how to monetize, how to do it, and lot of things happens. So that started, these messages started to come in, and I continued this journey of podcasting. So after that, I continued prefer English. Okay. So I continued my journey, and let me share. So I continued. That was my journey, and I continue. So let me share what is there in my store today. Yes. So I will start with why podcast for a coach, and then my 3 secrets, and then what is needed, and how to do it, and then Q&A, and then if you are having any doubt, you can we can have one to call with me. So that is the flow of the game. But let me start with why podcast, and why as a coach podcast landed at the sweet spot for me. Means for making a brand, either we can be on LinkedIn, Instagram, we can start a blog, we can start audio podcast or YouTube. So somewhere podcasts somewhere landed on the sweet spot where the efforts which are needed is very minimal compared to YouTube. Yes, on a video and all those things, the efforts are almost 4 times. So audio podcast landed on a sweet spot that we can record on a mic or even a mobile. We can record and put it on a very simple way, and I can edit myself audio. And that's how a podcast can be started. So as a coach, and compared to LinkedIn, Instagram, social media platforms, podcast, you are having the control. Biz, you can share the podcast with your clients. You can share the podcast with your friends. You can share the podcast in your email list. In other social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatever platform you are there, it is difficult to share that post and like that. because podcast is your own creation, so you can share it easily. So what I used to do is, after doing my clarity call with my clients, what I used to do, whatever I discussed on the clarity call, I must be having one or two podcasts about that topic. If it is career transformation, productivity, work life balance, I might be having one or two episodes. So I used to share that episode with my clients, and then just saying in a one word that whatever we are discussing in clarity call, I'm sending you my podcast, an episode. Please go, please listen and reflect back if you are having any doubts. So that brings a lot of authority as a coach, that yes, whatever I discuss with my coach, he or she is already having a podcast or an episode about that topic. So that started to build the credibility as a coach. Yeah, let me share my. Mm. Are you guys able to see it? So are you guys able to see my PPT?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So here I am. So I was starting with why podcast. So podcast, why podcast means I started to build my brand as a coach, because I used to share my episode with my clients, and I have discussed in clarity call. I used to started with my sharing my podcast with people, and that built lot of brand value out of it. And then second, it is my digital asset. In I think 20 years back, 15 years back, 30 years back, we used to have capital assets, physical assets, car, home, our expensive mobile as physical asset. So podcast is our digital asset. Podcast is like our Mercedes, our BMW cars. So I started to, whenever I go to some meeting, or whenever I go to some in a meeting, I can show off that yes, I'm a coach and I'm having a podcast. Let's talk clarity, and I have already completed 83, 84 episode. At once, it brings credibility and authority as a coach. So because I'm doing from last 2 years, so at once people started to appreciate my efforts, that okay, he is doing the podcast from last 2 years. So that digital asset, I used to flaunt my digital asset in meetings, and while meeting people in a group or like that. And then third thing is why podcast. It gave me global reach. So 18% of my audience is outside India, US, Europe, uh, South Asia, I mean Singapore, Dubai, like that. So I got a global reach through my podcast. In other social media platforms, I don't know from where people are liking, and it is very difficult to gauge. But in podcast, I started to gauge that from where my traffic is coming, which platform they are using, and from which city, which country people are listening to my podcast. So podcast gave me a detailed global reach. And as coach, as a solo entrepreneur, actually, it is very difficult to maintain regularity or consistency. So podcast actually forced me to bring clarity or regularity or consistency. How? It's once means I also didn't release my episode every week, and sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I was not able to release my episode. So the audience used to ask me, "Where is your next episode? Why next episode is not coming?" So it was like a positive pressure from my audience that people started to ask, "Yes, when people started to ask when is the next episode." So it becomes a positive pressure, and I used to start my podcast next episode when people are asking, and something regularity which comes into my mind, that every week I have to make some content, I have to make my any topic, and I have to do my research, I have to record, I have to edit, and like that. So it brought lot of regularity in my podcasting journey. Thank you. And then speak up authentically. Yes, for podcasts, I used to, whenever I used to have some issue in my life, or if my friend is facing some issue, I used to make podcasts on those topics. Like that, in COVID, one of my friend asked me how to get rid of screen time for kids. So I made a whole podcast about how to remove the screen time or reduce the screen time for kids. And then I shared with my friend that whatever we were discussing today or yesterday, the same topic I had covered in my podcast, and I shared with you. Once it happened that I had some argument with my wife, and so bringing on that topic, I started a podcast, how to listen, how to make a relationship, and then secretly shared with my wife that, yeah, whatever we discussed, this is my episode for whatever we have argued or discussion we had. So, like that, I started to speak up authentically from my heart. I started to speak up about my childhood memories. I started to speak about any incident, any failures, any victories of my school, college, or in my office. I started to speak up authentically. So it brought many layers out of me as a podcaster or as a coach, or releasing episode after episode. So that was very important, that I started to speak up authentically, and I started to being vulnerable while recording my podcast. And then podcast is my content bank. Yes, podcast. After starting my podcast in May 2021, yes, I never had shortage of any content. Yes, every time I was having so many episodes, so many small snippets that I can share on LinkedIn or Instagram or with friends or on WhatsApp. So I was having content bank of many years along with my podcast. So this is the why a coach or any coach should start a podcast or audio podcast, because it makes as a brand means it sets you an authority as a coach. People start to see you as a serious coach once you are having such an digital asset of podcast. Means 3 years, 83 episode. Once you say to your client or in a meeting, so it brings at once a brand value, and then it is a digital asset, and it gives you global reach, and it brings regularity, means it is a positive pressure and it brings regularity, and then you can speak out authentic stories from past and lot many things, and content is also there. So, here are my three secrets, and it is very difficult to release episode after episode, and every week we have to get into, and it is very difficult. So there are many pitfalls and difficulties which happen in content bank. So let me share that, means I was also not that consistent. I also skipped many weeks when I was not releasing. When I was shifting from Chandigarh to Gurgaon, I think 2.5 months there was no episode. And so like that, there are a lot many things happened in this content journey. So there are three secrets from my side, which means I have used in my this journey, and that can be useful for everyone. So the first thing is consistency. Yes, the first secret is. But let me share that consistency is like a myth. Consistency in health or in content bank or relationship, it is very hard to maintain. So what is the antidote? Antidote is catch up. Just like the way I have shared that I have not reached an episode 2.5 months whenever I was shifting from one city to another city. It is very difficult to maintain the consistency. So once we are out of consistency, we have to catch up. We have to bounce back. Hello. Is someone is asking. So yeah, I'll continue. So if consistency is not there, we have to catch up. We have to catch up again, bounce back. So bouncing back is very important because maintaining consistency is next to impossible. Like that, if perfection is required, sometimes consistency is very difficult to maintain. But antidote is we have to catch up again and bounce back again. So that's my antidote for consistency. And then in this content game and podcasting journey, once we have released 2 3 episodes, we started to compare our episode with Ankur Wariko and then Beer Bicep, lot many people. So comparison happens. अरे उनका that in their voice is very good. मेरा मैच नहीं हो रहा है, वीडियो अच्छा नहीं है, ये अच्छा नहीं है, and lot many things we started to compare in our heads. So what we have to do is compare, but compare from our previous episodes. You versus yesterday's use. That is the antidote which I have used. Because once you are there in 3 to 6 months in the podcast journey or any journey, you started to compare your results with others' results. That someone has started 2 months back, he is having so many followers, and I started 6 months back, and I'm having only 1/10 or 1/5 of the followers. So this thing happens. So comparison, we have to remove our comparison, and if we want to compare, we have to compare with our previous episodes. So that was secret number two. And third thing, courage. Yes, once you have listened to your own episodes, while listening to your own episode after recording, it is very difficult to get that courage to listen your own episode and then release on a public platform and hit that publish button. It requires courage. And you know that there are somewhere you have lagged your emotions, somewhere you have not speak up perfectly, and you have missed some words, and all those things happen. But still, we have to have that courage to listen and then publish that episode. Whatever improvement, if we want in our podcast, we have to do in the next episode. But don't stop that episode. So that courage is needed, very much needed. And so these are my three secrets. And let me share that what is needed. And let me share a very critical and or some beautiful story that how I started my podcast. So I shared that I was liking audio message and all those things, but how I started. So I was also attending a webinar just like this, in which you are right now. I was attending a webinar and 90 minutes. In that webinar, I started my podcast. The trainer or whoever was guiding, he was my friend only. He literally forced us to force our first episode on our mobile and then upload on a platform, Buzzsprout platform, and hit that publish button. And that day, I didn't knew that I will reach this far. Yes, that was the episode one on 1st May 2021. And that day, I was lucky that I attended that webinar at around 8:30, and it went up to 10 p.m. And then I recorded and then do very little bit of editing or zero editing, and then uploaded that my first episode. So, so it is the that it is not that we have to start with some perfection. Whenever we have strategy, we are having this much content, ye, wo, nothing. Point is, we have to start. And then the journey will continue, and the journey, we don't know where the journey will take us. So, what we have to require is we now we are having very expensive mobiles in our hands. So this mic is pretty enough for starting a podcast, or else you can have a podcast. This is just a 2,400 rupees mic, and we can start very well we can start. We don't want some fancy or some Shure mic or Rode mic or whatever, 40,000, 25,000. We can start from our mobile, and we can very well switch to around 2, 3,000, 6,000 podcast mic. So this is my traveling mic, and I'm having one more mic at my home, which is around 6,500. And from episode 1 to episode 83, the same mic is being used. That's 6,500. That's it. That is AKG 120, 120. I'll give you the details. What are the mics I have used. So that is only mic I have used. I have not purchased any expensive, fancy mics after that. Only one mic, 6,000 rupees. That's it. So we can start with our mobile and simple mics, and we can start. At least the point is we have to start. And then there is a hosting platform. So, what is a hosting platform for audio podcast? There are many hosting platforms there. There are more than I think more than 1,000 platforms are there on which audio episode can be hosted. It is like YouTube. For video, we are having only YouTube, and Vimeo is also there, but YouTube is the only option we are having. For audio, we are having n number of options. So, the world's number one hosting platform for podcasts is Buzzsprout. My podcast is from day one, it is on Buzzsprout. So, first 3 months is free, and after that, some $12 a month. So Buzzsprout is there. This is the Buzzsprout. So I'm having from day one, I'm having with Buzzsprout. That is number one. It is never down, and automatically it went to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. Automatically the episode goes automatically, and then we have to record with mic, then hosting platform, and then audio editing. Yes, this is the tricky part. Yes, audio editing. Who will do the trick audio editing? So let me share that from episode 1 to episode 32, 33, I myself did my audio editing. I was not doing anything fancy. I just downloaded a royalty-free music from Pixabay and put it on background. And then I was doing my audio editing on GarageBand. I'm using Mac, and on GarageBand, I was can we share the device name? Yeah, yeah, sure. I will surely share the device name. So I'm a Mac user, Apple user. So I was doing on GarageBand. And for Windows, we are having Audacity software. We can easily edit, and sometimes my audio episode were having doorbells, kids shouting, kids fighting, dog barking, car honking, lot many things is there. So I didn't bother, and I just released my episode. So lot many things are there in my podcast, and right now also I can still replace my audio, but I'm not doing it. The episode which are very barely edited, it they are still there on my podcast. So I'm not doing so. It is basic editing we can do. But for a coach, after 32 episode, what I did is I hired a sound engineer, and he used to do my audio editing from 33rd episode till 84th episode. So I have never met this guy. He is in somewhere Himachal, and only through Drive I used to share my audio, and he also share. So like that, we did for 30, 40 episode, and after 30, 40 episode, I switched to someone else because he became my audio engineer, became busy in his own podcast. So so he became busy. So I switched to someone in Delhi, and he's doing my audio or video editing like that. So so let me share that what we can do as a coach is we can do audio editing ourselves. It doesn't need a means we just have to start. That's the only thing. And small noise cancellation, something, and we can easily do it. So we can start from there. And then let me share that most of the podcast and doesn't do well, or a podcast doesn't grow after 10 episode because they finish their content. Content got finished. Content khatam ho jata hai. For a coach also, we are having many content with us as per our relationship, life coaching, executive coaching, lot many things. But sometimes contents get over. But for content, let me share that whatever I shared, that if one of my friend is facing any difficulty for screen time for kids, I used to make that as an episode. If I'm having any argument with my wife, that is as an episode we can make. I'm very fond of cricket and movies and marathons. So three of my podcast episode is based on cricket. Two episode are based on movies, and one episode is based on my marathon running, lot running. So content, our life is our content, right from childhood, right from school, whatever challenges we faced, whatever wins, whatever lose, whatever stories, from school to college, college to office. That is our content. Only that we have to make it or connect it to our topic of coaching somewhere, sometime, somewhere. Means that story, what are the learnings, and then what people can learn. So like that, we have to bridge the gap and then say means produce it to the world. So that's how we can make content. And as a coach, we are having content, and at every clarity call and every discussion we are many contents. So in like that, if yesterday India got win from Pakistan day for yesterday, so that is one content for me, because I'm very much excited about cricket. So that is the one episode we can do. So our mess is our message. So that's how our mess, our life, our journey, that is our content. So, but how? Yeah. Let me share that how we can start. Thanks, Rakesh. Does revenue come from subscription? Okay, okay. Yeah, I'll surely say, surely give that answer. So, but how to do it, and lot many things have come up. So, I have shared that I started my podcast, a webinar like this. Yes. So, I'm challenging you all to start your podcast right now. Okay. I will give you a framework, and we can record in our mobiles, and we can share in a WhatsApp group or Abhidya group. Record episode one. Yes. Who are you? Yes, I'm Rakesh Mathurya. I'm career transformation expert, and I'm having a podcast, Let's Talk Clarity, and I'm deal with career transformation, productivity, and life fulfillment. Who are you? What is your mission? Mission is to empower people to get their true potential. Introverts get their voice, and like that. Why this podcast? So these three questions we can answer in our first episode. So, we coaches, we love to put our clients in uncomfortable zones. So let us share that in the next 1 to 2 minutes, we can write about who are you, what is your mission, and why this podcast, and record on your mobiles and share on Abudaya group or like that somewhere, or directly to Akanksha. So let's start our journey from here, and our time starts now. So I'm giving you 1 to 2 minutes. Let's record one episode about you, and what is your niche? You are in relationship, life coaching, career coaching, and what is your mission? Yes, as a coach, what is your mission? Whom do you want to serve? And do you want to serve women's or men's, or men's in 40, 30, or how you want to serve? What is your methodology? Whether you want care and like that. Yes. So who are up for challenge? Great. Renu is there. Angel, Ruchika, Sharmila. Great. Ramya. Sangamita. Rajneesh. Wow. So let's have 2 minutes. I'll be silent. And okay, let me share that screen. Yeah. 11:46. I'll again speak. Yeah. Rajneesh done.
Rakesh, where to share?
Uh, what we can do is we can share on our Abhdaya group. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, that will
ठीक
be better. Yes.
Okay. ठीक
Angel done. Ruchika done. Amazing. 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 Keep them coming. So we'll wait for another 1 minute. Let others wait to share the podcast. So Sharmila, you can share in this Zoom chat also, or you can share in our Abudaya group. Show here, I'm not part of Abudaya group. Any WhatsApp number? Okay. Yeah, this is my number 9594049592. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Yes. Uh, Rajneesh and Renu, thank you. It is there on our group. What?
Uh, Rakesh, I had recorded this earlier actually, so I hope it works. I started doing it, so I recorded three or four, but again, publish wala jo hai na, that is difficult. So that
Okay,
courage,
that
that
correct.
courage to publish your podcast, that is what comes as a challenge. But then I overcame that challenge in sharing that YouTube song, if you had heard. So
That
so
was
I
beautiful.
so I thought of doing that way. I said, "Chalo, ये करके देखते हैं." So because
So courage is required actually to listen to our own voice. Sometimes we don't recognize ये मेरी आवाज है means so it happens, and then this courage is required at each episode also every time,
to
because in this content journey or creative journey there is not a perfect thing.
I
Perfect.
know. I could get that and I could feel that when I published my song on YouTube. It was like, okay, let me just begin and let's see how what happens. So that courage I could gather, I think, in that case.
Great. Wow. So thank you everyone. So if I think let's move on. We have recorded our first episode, and what we can do is we can listen to this episode, and in this audio is having everything. It is it is about us. Who am I? What is my mission? And why this podcast, why I have recorded it. And we got the courage to share with the world also. We have shared on WhatsApp group or Abhidya group also. So the first step is we have crossed the first step. So let me first congratulate everyone who has done it and who are in the process also. The first step is difficult. I have started my podcast just like this webinar, and from there it is 3 years, nothing, no, means no going back. And let me share that once we publish our podcast, these messages and even family, friends, a little bit of appreciation will fuel us for the onward journey. One after the other, you will get some appreciation, and nothing is sweeter than success. Yes, one after the other, after 10 episode, 15 episode. So let me share that. I think you guys are able to see. So after 2 years of my podcast, 17th May 2023, I met this guy in aeroplane, Jaipur Delhi flight. It was very short flight, very short flight. It is 20-25 minutes. And I just saw this guy and I thought that I think I'm connected to him on LinkedIn. And then I searched his name. His name is Sanjeev. And then I went to him and I asked, "Are you Sanjeev?" So he told that, "Yes, I'm Sanjeev." And then he was also surprised. Then I told him that we are connected on LinkedIn and I'm following you. And we had some chat also. Hi, hello. Because you are from Jaipur, I'm from Rajasthan. So like that, I connected. And then I told him that I am having podcasts, 65 episode at point of time at last year. And then uh, we had gel together. We understood each other. Then we had Zoom call with each other. And after 2 months, I was with him for a corporate training in Ranchi. I was assisting him in the whole 2 days for that whole event. So it is not that the podcast done the magic. Even our energies matched and everything matched. But podcast helped me to establish myself as a coach trainer. Once he listened that the Rakesh is having podcast from last 2 years. At once the credibility started chipping. And then after that, we used to work together. I go with him or even his team member for event. And let me share that today I'm sitting in his office only. I am at Jaipur, not in Gurgaon. And today I'm sitting in his office only and using this space. Now I call it my office, and I'm working with him, and we are doing business together. And likewise, the podcast has given me many opportunities. That someone was asking that how to monetize and how to do it. So from podcast, you get leads. Okay, you get clients, you get corporate trainings,
I'm a
anything.
psychologist by passion. Welcome.
Yeah,
Please, a
someone
date.
is asking.
Common notion about the word dating is it's a stage of romantic relation.
Yeah, yeah, I think some. Yeah, yeah. No. So like that, I got appreciation from people, and then once I started on YouTube, I used to get comments on, and this actually fuels us. Appreciation started to fuel us one after the other. So then once I was sitting and just scrolling through my Ghana app, and I found my podcast in popular shows, and it was top 50 podcasts in motivation category, and lot many things happened. So like that, these are the things we can do with the podcast, and so uh, let's take it together. And so where to host? That I have already shared that we can make a account on Buzzsprout website, and there we can host. This is my link. This is my Buzzsprout link. We can have a hosting platform, because it is an platform where we can upload our audio podcast, and from there, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Ghana, Amazon, everything is backward linked. And once we upload our podcast in this website, it automatically goes to Apple Podcasts within 1 hour, half an hour, like that. So we have understood why podcasts, what is needed, and we recorded one podcast episode also. So let's start the Q&A. And if you are having any doubts, what mic or what hosting platform or anything which we can discuss, we can I can answer whatever that comes into your mind.
Rakesh, this is Anita here. May I ask something?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So obviously the growth is a factor of how many people are you're able to reach, right? So
Yeah,
is
yeah.
there anything specific you did in addition to sharing to the groups, like any specific boosting or anything at all? Or is it just the content and you?
It is just the content. And one thing which I can share is that we have to share the podcast shamelessly, because sometimes it looks like a spam in groups and to friends, families, and lot many things, but we have to share. Means we have to share with the feeling that sometimes that one episode is required for that 1%, but we don't know who is that 1%. So sometimes people used to doesn't reply me back, and sometimes they used to see me as a spammer, and lot many things happened. But we have to continue the sharing with the people, even LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, means and sometimes people also don't know what they need. So sometimes they only need that one episode to get that motivation. So I used to shamelessly share with the people, and that's the only recipe. We have to make some thick skin, and we have to share. So we have to means get acquaintance with the rejection or no thing. So that is one thing, and it is for everything. Means for content game, this is normal phenomena. Out of 100, 5 people only convert. So 95 people don't want that thing, because it is not no for your services. They are not ready. We are not ready, or our offer, our thing is not means applicable at that point of time for that person. So we have to understand and keep on sharing. Anita, yeah,
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. Yes, Rajesh.
Rakesh, what a lovely journey. What a beautiful journey, and thanks for explaining everything. It's been brilliant, absolutely. I'm sure it'll motivate a lot of people like us into trying something new, and at such an effective way of doing this. My compliments and congratulations to you for doing this. I've been a fan. I have been listening to your podcast very silently, not maybe a couple of times I have complimented you on social media as well, but especially the one with Jaya I really liked, and that was like a video recording. So my question is, yeah. Did you go to a studio or you managed with your own camera? And how did you do that? The recording that you did with Jaya?
Okay. So thank you, Rajesh, for silently listening and watching my episodes, and it means a lot to me. Means once you are in the content game, one like, one view, that is also very important. So thank you. And let me share my journey from episode 1 to episode 24. It was audio and monologues. I was speaking alone. So 25th episode, I invited one of my friend to on my podcast. She was in Mexico. So we recorded on Zoom. And after that, I started four monologues and one interview-based podcast with some of my friends and from Abu Dhabi also. So 25th, 30th, 35th, these are video, means interview podcasts and four monologues. So after that, after 40th, people started coming that interview us also. So after 40th, people coming in. So I started more interview-based podcast. And after 50th, only interview-based podcast, no monologues after 50th. So at the 64th episode, what happened? I asked one of the personality coach. She was in Delhi. So she came to my studio and we were about to shoot our audio podcast. She told that सामने एक ना कैमरा लगा दो यार, एक video podcast भी हो जाए. So that's how I started my from audio to video podcast. Thanks to Kanika. Uh, so from 64th episode, video podcast. And let me share that with Jaya, we went to one studio in Gurgaon and we recorded there, and I paid the rent for the studio, and there was only one camera with the studio, and the other camera was my own personal camera, DSLR we put, and we recorded there. And I recorded that 75th episode was with Jaya, and I recorded at around 66, 67 episode, and then I kept that episode for 3 months with me, editing, listening, editing, listening. Many things happened. So, but I released on 75th episode. So like that, things started to open up for me. Let me share. And video podcast, I will not recommend everyone because to start with, let's start with audio podcast, because video podcast is altogether a different game. It requires 4x, 5x more energy, time, and your efforts. So video is different game. It is YouTube game is different altogether different. For coach, I think audio podcast is well suited. It is having that balance, that effort and results, and the time which it requires. That after I think 20 episode, I was able to record my podcast in within 1 hour. Means within 1 hour, I was able to record a 10 to 12 minute episode, including writing, editing, and posting. So because after 20 episode, I got the hold of it. So I think audio podcast is a good way to start for a coach. And
So Rakesh,
compared to means,
sorry.
yeah.
You go ahead after you're done. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So what we can do is, means it is not that podcast is the only way. Let me share one of my friend who also started podcast May 21, but she didn't like the format, because audio podcast she didn't like it, because she was not able to understand that whom I'm speaking, and like that she didn't understand. So she started shifting her podcast. She closed the podcast and she started the posting on LinkedIn. Today she is at 1,25,000 followers on LinkedIn, but she was regular and consistent on. So let me share here that you pick one medium and continue doing for 6 to 12 months, you will get the results. Whether it is LinkedIn, Instagram, or our audio podcast. In audio podcast, it is having more control. Means you are the controller. LinkedIn, Instagram is the algorithm which works. So you are having less control. And then that post also you cannot share with your client. It is very difficult to share. So audio podcast is somewhere it is having a sweet spot. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. You
Yeah.
also mentioned, Rakesh, that you have a sound engineer
Yeah.
helping you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
does he also help, or you have a graphic engineer for the graphics, like the supers that come in when you see a person speaking, there are supers that go, in the on the screen. So do you have a graphic engine person also who's there?
Yes, yes. So I'm having a studio at Delhi Hodge Khas. Means from last 2 years I'm recording my audio there and now video also there. So he only does the editing also. So
Hmm.
and sound engineer also because but after 32nd, 33rd episode when I started sound engineer and getting his services, I was relieved. Means audio editing is simple, but it takes time. It's take time. Let me be frank that it's take time. It takes if for a 10 minute. Initially, I was it used to take me 2 hours to edit and do some noise cancellation. Sometimes music is down, music is up. But sometimes I used to post just like that. ठीक है जाने दो dog barking car honking everything चले चलने दो but it is like that but once I have hired sound engineer I was at peace because we are coaches we are for coaching people not for sound editing let the expert do their thing and we have to pay them and for sound editing there's not much of a charge it is means from 1000 to 1500 for 10-minute to 20-minute episode and depending on the length the price goes up depending on the work of audio editing the price goes up so like that but let me share that after 2 years I was only spending on sound editing and Buzz Sprout also $12 a month I got one client and everything was covered.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you, Rakesh. Brilliant, brilliant session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajesh. Yeah, Ashok.
Um, I've been watching your body language, sir, and it comes out to be very authentic. And I think the Hindi phrase I would coin is "dil ki baat." Aapki dil ki baat aapne keh di, and you are, empowering others. I align with the beautifully articulated words of Rajesh Kumar when he expressed his sentiments. I just have one question. I don't know whether we have time, but I had asked if your revenue comes from subscription or does it palm out into other domains like your leads to get workshops or engagements with corporates. You did give the example of meeting with a friend in an aircraft and
Mhm.
moving to Ranchi and doing some work there.
So thank you, Ashok, and means your words means a lot to me because these small appreciation means fuel us means nothing is sweeter than success. These appreciations are required at as a coach also we need these appreciations. So thank you for appreciating authenticity and my session. So, and for subscription. So, for a video podcast, YouTube pays depending upon the number of views. For audio podcast, there is not such a system available till date. So, from audio, subscription comes only when there are ads and that too when you cross some 1,000 downloads per episode then Buzzsprout is also having system of paying something but that is very minimum but apart from that podcast is our branding tool means to set as a brand it is like a marketing tool podcast will be our market tool there's no direct money which is coming from podcast no nothing from podcast you will get the opportunity it is like that yeah I'm very fond of cricket so Tata IPL is sponsored by Tata so from IPL Tata is not getting anything but the brand is there Tata is using IPL as a brand So just like that, Tata IPL podcast is your branding tool. You can publish yourself and you can reach to global and like that. You can have content like that. So direct revenue is means not there. It is there in Buzzsprout, but it is very minimum and too with lot many downloads. So where we as a coach, I think it is difficult to reach at that level because we are into coaching business. Podcast is our marketing tool. It is a means to coaching. It is not our core business. If someone is doing a core business in a podcast, then definitely he or she can reach to that level of subscription.
Thank you, Rakesh.
Thank you. So it is 12:08, and if there are any answers, let me share that after this webinar, if you are having any questions, if you stuck anywhere after this recording of first episode, where to post, where to do it, you can book with me any call, one-to-one call. And for Abhidya, this is my link, clarity10x.com/clarity call, and you can book any call, and I'll be very happy to support you, guide you in podcasting journey. And because this is my podcasting is my very well means close to my heart. I'll be very happy to help anyone who is want to start their podcast, or is there any, do you want sound engineers number or anything, or what tool I use like that. So anyway, so he is the Sanjeev in this photo also. He is the Sanjeev in my podcast. And let me
Thank you,
also share this.
Rakesh, and thank you also for your generous offer of support going forward. This has been a wonderfully insightful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.